The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Hello everyone, welcome to This Week in Star Wars for the week of April 30th. This show was originally to be called This Week in Stupid, but Sargon of Akkad beat me to it. Yesterday was International Star Wars Day, the day where baseball teams, TV stations, and casuals on the net spaz out because of nostalgia. Woo! I'm not one to dump on someone's good time, but their misguided excitement comes a bit early. Star Wars Day is actually May 25th, but I guess emotion trumps logic. In all seriousness, I too, at one point in my life, took part in the celebration because Star Wars was once something worth being celebrated. It was a story of good versus evil, fathers and sons, and destiny and redemption. In many ways, it was the greatest story ever told, a sprawling saga that transcended time and expanded beyond simple science fantasy. It was the story in all of us. But those were the good days, before the dark times, before the empire, known as Disney, swooped in and bought them, and a maniacal harpy was put in charge. I wanted to open the show with a brief recap of the greatness that once was Star Wars to remind you of its fall from grace. This week saw all kinds of Star Wars stories clog up our news feeds. First, the rumored plot for Episode 9. Over on Reddit, a poster by the name of Foozle had this to say: I know this place gets 1 million fake leaks a month, so I understand the skepticism and reception I got 2 years ago when I shared an early storyboard for Episode 8. I was hesitant to come forward this early, but with the overnight 4chan leak surfacing, which is legit, I figured I'd come forward so people can protect others who do not want to be spoiled. Before you go on, if you don't remember me from 2 years ago and you're already ready to call BS and read what I have to say, somewhat recklessly, I ask you to revisit my thread from 2 years ago. If you're still here, just know that the big plot points for 9 will probably be spoiled for you if you continue reading this. Plot A would progress like this. 5 years after The Last Jedi, the Resistance is no longer centralized and is not a popular idea among the galaxy. Kylo Ren's rule over the galaxy is seen by most as benevolent. Many within the Resistance itself are questioning why they should even be fighting. Not surprisingly, Rey, Poe, and Finn and Leia are still holding fast to the idea that the galaxy should not be under Imperial rule. They are tipped off by a mole inside the First Order that if they would follow their lead, they will discover the horrifying nature of the First Order. The tip leads them to a planet in the unknown regions, and they must infiltrate the First Order command station to extract a young female alien prodigy who is the key to navigating these regions. After a successful rescue of the girl, who is essentially a prisoner of the First Order, they discover a planet entirely comprised of an ocean. Beneath the waters is the secret of the First Order's unlimited resources. An ancient manufacturing station literally powered by the population of conquered worlds of the unknown regions. This entire A-plot revolves around liberating the captives before they are exterminated and exposing the horrors of the galaxy at large. The plot is resolved with the unknown regions becoming united and preparing for war with the known regions. The B-plot revolves around Kylo Ren hunting down other Force users in secret and using the Knights of Ren to try to discover the mole among his ranks. Whoa, wait a second. The Knights of Ren are coming back? So Rian Johnson just glosses over them and acts like they don't exist. But when J.J. Abrams is coming to make the film, the Knights of Ren are going to be back. That's a problem when you have people just kind of go willy-nilly with the movie and they don't follow the established plot that came before it. At the end of the film, it's revealed that Hux is the mole and is trying to get the galaxy to revolt against Ren's empire and believes he can claim the throne after the fallout. Many Force users have sought out Rey for protection, both really young and really old. Rey and Kylo still converse through the Force and can even manifest their whole presence in front of each other. It is slowly revealed that they secretly love each other. Ugh. The big reveal in this film is that one of Rey's students is actually her child, and Kylo becomes so enraged upon finding this that he nearly kills Rey, who was only saved by Leia at the last minute. As with the last time, I will add the disclaimer that this is an early storyboard, but the heart of the film is there, with a secret love child and the theme of an empire thriving, but at a terrible cost. You can expect the story to play out very close to this. I have a rule I live by when it comes to Disney Star Wars spoilers, and if it sounds dumb, it's probably true. And this... boy, howdy does this sound lame. The Last Jedi built towards nothing. The film feels like the final act of something bad, and this plot rumor seems to reaffirm that. Again, Rey has an overinflated level of importance here. Many Force users have sought out Rey for protection, both really young and really old. Why? It's not like she's accomplished anything in the 3 days that she's been a Jedi, except for, getting the Millennium Falcon, meeting Han Solo, getting him killed, meeting Luke Skywalker, getting him killed, and beating Kylo Ren, thus removing any reason for him to be a credible threat. Plus, who's going to know? There are like 12 Resistance members at the end of The Last Jedi, and I doubt Rey is telling any of them the story of her That's for Rose Tico to do. Hux as a mole sounds beyond dumb, but that's perfect for Disney. I hope none of this is true, but there's an article that confirms part of this. Star Wars Episode 9 could have a time jump according to John Boyega. The latest news he revealed about the new look hints possibly at a larger time gap between The Last Jedi and the untitled Episode 9 than The Force Awakens and its sequel. Between the latter, it looks like a couple of weeks, if not a few days, have passed between Rey's departure and the Resistance evacuation from Dakar. If Boyega's growing his hair out, we still don't know the length, let's assume just visibly longer than we've seen previously, and we can only assume the time jump is set up not only to change the story, but also give us a reason for Carrie Fisher's General Leia to pass away behind the scenes, since there will be no digital stand-ins or replacement actresses. Now this news could be a coincidence, or the Reddit leak could have taken this little kernel of information and spun it into the entire plot. Only time will tell, but I can guarantee the story will suck. It's J.J. Abrams, and Rian Johnson already stole a lot of Return of the Jedi for The Last Jedi. Moving on, tickets for Solo: A Star Wars Story are now on sale, and I can't wait to see people lining up for another screening of Deadpool 2. For many, a Han Solo film seemed like a dream come true, but with the current Star Wars climate, we get to spend 2 hours watching symbolic castration. Speaking of balls, the 2 Solo lots will be perfect for you and your pals to play beer pong with. But you'll need cups, and thankfully the good people over at Dark Container have you covered. In what seems like the laziest and most on-the-nose product pairing since ever, there are Solo-branded Solo cups. So when you're done playing beer pong, you can chug down 16 ounces of depression in a molded red hunk of plastic. At least those hunks of plastic will get used, unlike those Rose Ticos. While I am laughing at the laziness of said product placement, I do appreciate the unintentional humor associated with it. Speaking of appreciation is the recognition and enjoyment of the good quality of something or someone. It's also the way that Marvel treats its fans, as opposed to Lucasfilm. Appreciation makes a fan feel good about supporting a brand or a company, and in return, they consume more. These last few months since the release of The Last Jedi have been a monsoon of vitriol and hatred spewed at the fans by directors, executives, actors, and the shill media, as well as the blind nostalgic fan himself. To call this the dark age of Star Wars would be apropos. Morale is down, sales are down, and interest is at an all-time low. And the world is buzzing about the Avengers and Deadpool 2 instead. Why? Well, let's take a look back at the last few months. Any and all criticisms of Star Wars is pushed aside and labeled as the opinions of angry white men. Famed nobody Freddie Prinze Jr. is the latest line of interconnected assholes trying to lambaste those that don't like the Disney error. And yeah, I said error. It was a mistake for Lucas to sell them. How'd he put it? What did he call them?
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and okay, but I mean...
Oh yeah. Oh boy, was he right. The media fell right in line too, towing the company line over at Lucasfilm. Our good friend Scott Mendelson, Star Wars shill extraordinaire, tried for months to use Forbes as a platform to swat down criticisms for Kathleen. But we saw through that garbage and called it like it was. This is a war of attrition at this point between us and them, and while fans take to writing professional letters criticizing elements of the story, a lack of logical forward progression, Lucasfilm likes to look down at us from that perceived place of moral superiority and call us bigots and the like. It's old hat at this point to be called any of those ists. I like to think that the only ist that describes the dissenting fan base is realist. We're realistic to the fact that they're trying to expand the lore, but we're also quite obvious that they're pissing on it at the same time, and we're tired of it. It's all been a series of bad decisions, and like the petulant child that they are, Lucasfilm and their ilk lash out and attack. Lucasfilm is where they are because of decades of great stories, iconic characters, and timeless films. It was all created by this man, with the help of this man, and a few others. But it's all about to be undone by this chick, this stick, and people like this. That's why it's funny when the director receives death threats and no one cares. While the force isn't strong with Lucasfilm, the sense of complacency is. Their hold on the imagination of children and adults alike is slipping like all those star systems through Tarkin's fingers. Star Wars doesn't have the it factor it once had. Why? Well, the classic films are still classic. Those characters are timeless. But it's the new stuff that's garbage, and they're banking on nostalgia to sell tickets while telling that fan base to go take a long walk off a short pier. You can't have it both ways. However, today there's a new game in town. A little thing called the Marvel Cinematic Universe has captured the hearts and minds of today's audience. It started as an idea, then launched in 2008, and 10 years later, we're here. It wasn't easy to get going, but then again, nothing worthwhile truly is. We're living in a world where a talking tree and a talking raccoon, or rabbit depending on who you are, hold more weight in terms of pop culture relevance than any of the new Star Wars characters. Hell, even the old ones aren't what they used to be. Name recognition isn't what sold us on Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man or half of the Avengers. It was good marketing and logical world building. Marvel followed the logical storytelling laid out in previous films and carried them out in each sequel and crossover. The characters acted like themselves, and the story put them in situations and locations that the characters would be in. Iron Man is greatly evolved from the first film. He's now engaged to Pepper Potts and wants to be a father. Captain America has grown. Thor has learned humility and the value of human life. All the characters are different from where they started. Over in Star Wars land, shit has changed just to be changed. Characters are castrated in service of new, less capable and interesting characters. Subverting expectations and shitting on fans has backfired, Ryan. You think your trilogy is going to be successful if it ever gets made?
I don't think so.
How does Marvel deal with the fans? Good or bad, what do they do? Well, they treat fans like this. Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Studios, penned a letter thanking the fans, and it says this: "To the greatest fans, the past 10 years have been an unforgettable ride, and we couldn't have done it without the entire team at Marvel Studios, our incredible talent in front and behind the camera, the visionary comic book creators, but most importantly, you. Thank you for embracing these characters and stories since we kicked off the MCU 10 years ago. This past weekend was a result beyond our wildest dreams. On behalf of everyone here at Marvel Studios, we thank you for being the best fans in the universe and making Avengers: Infinity War the biggest opening weekend of all time. Kevin Feige." While it's short and sweet, its message is conveyed clearly. Avengers hit big and they thank us. The Russo brothers aren't telling us how dumb we are or calling us sexist or racist. There's no controversy over on Rotten Tomatoes. It's almost like the film is loved by fans because it doesn't suck. But hey, that's just a theory. Here's another theory. Lucasfilm only sent their letter to gain some recognition and steal the Avengers spotlight. You might be asking yourself, what letter? You haven't heard about that? You haven't seen it? Well, it's the cringiest piece of PR we've seen in quite some time, and here it is. Ugh. From a galaxy far, far away to Earth's mightiest heroes, congratulations on the biggest opening weekend in history. From Kathy and everyone at Lucasfilm. Ugh, from Kathy. She can keep that shit. Deadpool did it too, but the marketing team for that movie is killing it. Peter, anyone? Marvel and Kevin Feige are for the fans. Feige worked his way up to where he is today by working on previous Marvel films that weren't part of the MCU, and on top of all that, he's a comic book fan. He knows his shit. He knows how the characters are to act and interact with each other. And he knows that a massive failure on their part could kill the entire comic book movie genre. Thanos is being compared to Darth Vader as one of the greatest villains of all time. Infinity War has been said to be the modern-day Empire Strikes Back. But why isn't Thanos being compared to the great Kylo Ren, and why isn't Infinity War being compared to the greatness that is The Last Jedi? It's because modern Star Wars
absolutely sucks!
The Avengers schools Star Wars on how to treat its fans. No matter your stance on the MCU, you can't deny that. It will be interesting to see how different Lucasfilm acts post-Episode 9. Hell, they may even change their tune in a few weeks about Solo. There's only so much spin that they can level against the impending doom that film is going to bring in. I guarantee that the first excuse they or the show media will use for this film is the fact that Han Solo is a man. Now, here's a brief example of how Marvel feels about their fans.
And ultimately, I think what Marvel has done is they have taken the high road and they've really listened to the audience and the fans, and there's been a lot of kind of creative synergy.
In the last few months have shown us how Lucasfilm truly sees us. So that's it for this week in Star Wars. Did you enjoy it? If you did, let me know, and I'll come back next week with another week of This Week in Star Wars. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't be able to do what it's been able to do lately. I'd also like to take the time to thank the 32,000 plus subscribers out there who watch all of our videos and have made World Class Bullshitters triple in size over the last 5 months. If you're a big fan of this channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, spread the word of World Class Bullshitters. If you're a super fan, check out our Patreon page. $1 a month goes a long way, $5 goes even further, and that's only 17 cents a day, so it's not even cheese on your Whopper. But if you can't afford it, that's fine. Just watch the content and tell everyone you can about us. I'll be back with more this week, and remember, this is content you can only get on World Class Bullshitters.